Very good morning to everyone. All right. So, firstly, I welcome you all on this webinar on this UPSC Combined Geoscientist Prelims examination. Right. So, this year, there are really a lot of number of seats relative to last years. So, this is a very golden year for you all to get to land a final rank. Right. And like prelims is getting very important from last 2 years because the marks of prelims are also getting added to our final rankings. Right. So in that context, we have tried to bring this introductory session with you all. Right. So before going ahead, Lawrence sir will mostly be leading the session. I just want to introduce you to us. So I am Mayank Malviya. I am mentor and co-founder at Planet Geology. Right. And with me we have Lawrence sir. A lot of you must be knowing him. But for the sake of introduction, I would like to introduce him. Right. So Lawrence sir is also a co-founder and mentor at Planet Geology. Sir is also IIT Roorkee graduate like me. In fact, sir was the brightest student of geology in IIT Roorkee. Right. So before this co-founding Planet Geology, sir has worked in various multinational companies. Sir worked in Royal Dutch Shell. It is one of the biggest oil exploration company in the world. Right. Sir also was involved with ONGC. Right. As he was also All India rank one in GATE 2017. Right. But sir is also very passionate about teaching, and he has been mentoring students for various examinations, civil services, forest services, GATE, GSI, right, and others, right. Exams. Sir has been a very experienced mentor, right. Presently, sir is residing in Canada. He is working there as a geologist, senior geologist, as well as he's passionately mentoring all those people. So this is a great opportunity for you all to interact with him, to get his insights on how to tackle this exam, what to do in next 2 months, right. And in that way. So now, without taking more time, I would like to hand over to Lawrence sir, and then we can continue with the session, right.
Okay, thank you, Mayank sir. Let me open the slides. Just 1 second. I hope you can all see the slides.
Yes sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
good. So Mayank sir already took you through the slide, so I'm going to just skip through this one. Okay. So this combined geoscientist preliminary examination 2023, that is what we have to target this year. Okay, it is a golden opportunity, as Mayank sir already told you, because of so many seats. Okay, we'll see how many vacancies have been released, and we will also look at basically what were the marks in previous years, what were the cutoffs. Okay, so how you need to prepare. One thing is very important. Okay, you don't have to do a PhD in geology to do well in this exam. Okay, you have to be very strategic. Okay, you need proper plan and how you are going to prepare in the next 2 months. Okay, you need that proper strategy. You need to be very exam focused. You don't have to do a PhD in geology for this one. Okay, so maybe mains you need to study a little bit more. The syllabus of GSI prelims is limited. You have to stick to the syllabus, and as Mayank sir told you, like the marks will count towards your final score, so that it is very important to do well in the prelim stage. Okay, so if you can get ahead of others in the prelim stage only, that will be a big boost. If you don't do exceptionally well in any of the subjects, that is okay. Even if you keep doing average and above average in each individual stage, okay, it will be overall your score will basically be much higher than your peers. Okay, so the exam date is 19th February, so we have still more than 2 months left. This much time is more than sufficient for prelims preparation. Okay, GSI prelims preparation. First of all, at this stage, okay, you should be prelims focused now. Okay, so mains of course, when you're preparing for prelims, it will help you in mains preparation also. If you are learning about trilobites for prelims, that will help you in mains preparation. But right now, your focus should be on the prelims. Okay, so over 2 months are left. Okay, and we'll see basically. So this is the UPSC timetable. So the preliminary examination combined geoscientist. Okay, so okay, so this is like 19th February. Okay, more than 2 months. And then the mains examination, okay, so combined geoscientist mains examination is on 24th June. Okay, so you will have 4 months for your mains preparation as well, so which is sufficient time. Okay, you can prepare, because I hope like you had been preparing, you are not starting from zero, from scratch. Even if you're starting from scratch, actually you can still do it, but you will have to be very dedicated at this stage. Okay, anyway, most of you are from geology background only, and you have studied geology well in university. Okay, at least some things you will already know. Talking in terms of like number of vacancies, so for geologist, okay, the category 1 post which are for Geological Survey of India, you have 216 posts, which is basically, last year there were many posts, this year also. Last year the results are still awaited. There are over like 15 students from our classroom course who have got the interview call. Okay, so this year 216 seats. Okay, last year, so because UPSC has been recruiting basically during the COVID time. Initially there was, for example, in 2021 I think there were no seats for geologists, there was not even a single seat. But for the last year and this year, the number of seats is good, so it is definitely a golden opportunity. And you also have a shot at these hydrogeology posts also. Okay, so you have in total, okay, 242 seats with you. Okay, so it is not a small number, it is not a small number. And for this, you see, prelims is same. Okay, so prepare for prelims very well. Prelims is same, and even mains exam, two papers are same, only one paper extra you have to prepare, which is hydrogeology. If you have studied hydrogeology, basically for overall geology paper, you already know a little bit about paper 3 of hydrogeology. Okay, so you have some background in that also, that can also be prepared in that given time frame. Okay, so overall the total marks that you will have, okay, so 400 are for prelims, 600 for mains, and 200 for personality test or interview. Okay, so overall in total you will have 1200 marks. Okay, you see these marks 400, they will count towards your final marks. Okay, it's most other examinations that UPSC conducts, prelim stage is just qualifying. If you qualify it, okay, so then your marks are not counted towards your final score. Here those are going to be counted towards your final score, which is like very important. That is why you should try to give your best effort to the prelim stage only. Okay, then worry about main stage afterwards. Okay, overall marks distribution, within out of those 400 for prelims, 100 marks will be from your general studies, and 300 marks will be from geology. So don't ignore this part as well. Okay, first of all, okay, we'll see it in the next slide. There is a minimum cutoff as well for each of these subjects. I think that is 20% marks or 10% marks you need to score. Okay, uh, and basically, so 100 marks for general studies. Okay, so again, you should give time to general studies as well. Okay, so we have a course for general studies as well on our portal. If you're interested, you can get in touch with us regarding that. The second one is basically hydrogeology, which is 300 marks, which is like quite significant to the overall score. Basically, if you compare it with individual paper, it is equivalent to 2 papers of geology in mains. Okay, so for prelims, that is a significant weightage overall. For hydrogeology, basically paper 1 and paper 2 are same. This third paper, hydrogeology, is different. Okay, you would have already covered some topics if you study your geology for mains, hydrogeology topic. Okay, now syllabus, I will not go into too much details of this, just it is there because we'll share these slides with you if you want. Overall there are 10 subjects in geology. Okay, we'll see the question distribution also, and you will get a total of 120 questions. Okay, so the exam includes 120 questions out of 10 subjects. Some subjects which you have to study for mains are not there in prelims. For example, remote sensing, GSI, not GSI, geoinformation system, etc. This is not part of the syllabus. Okay, so basically remote sensing GIS is not part of the syllabus. you have to be very focused. Don't just start studying whatever you want. You have to study as per syllabus. One difference, okay, if you have prepared for other examinations like NET, GATE, okay, one difference that you will find is in this UPSC, the questions that will come, they will try to cover the width of the syllabus. Okay. So in GATE exam, for example, if the structural geology syllabus is given, okay, in GATE you may get a question on Mohr circle. You may get a question on, let's say, V-ruler outcrop patterns. That's all. Rest is not touched. Okay, because in GATE the number of questions is very less. They have, and you have 16 subjects over there. So from each subject, maximum 2 or 3 questions usually you will get. Here in GSI, if you look at the paper pattern, they will try to cover what is written here in these keywords. Okay. So for example, the first keyword here is principle of uniformitarianism. Okay. If you open the first question of your GSI prelims paper, I think it was 2021, this is a question on uniformitarianism. I think this year also. They will try to cover, they cannot cover each and everything, but mostly what is written here in topics. Okay. So for example, earthquakes and volcanoes, seafloor spreading isostasy. Okay. So you can expect 90% chance that there will be a question on isostasy. Okay. They will try to cover each and everything. So important thing is you have to cover these topics in width. Okay. And one of the best strategies will be basically to look at the previous year question that have been asked, because they're trying to cover those in uniformity. If you try to cover those questions, you will get practice, and then you will see basically kind of questions, then how to study based on those questions. That is very important. You cannot open structural geology book Haka Fossen and start studying from page 1 and end up at page last, and then say my structural geology in 1 month is done, and then you are left with 1 month, you have to cover 9 more subjects. So that strategy will not work. Here what you have to do is you have to basically analyze previous year paper, keep a copy of syllabus print out with you, study each and every topic. Okay. Another thing is, it is very important to cover the breadth of the syllabus. Okay. We'll see what the cutoff marks have been, but one thing is very important is that you have to cover the width. Don't go after each and every difficult question that is asked. Sometimes wording can be difficult, wording can be challenging. Okay. In 1 or 2 questions, English can be confusing the way it is framed, the question. Okay, those questions will be there in the exam. Okay, you don't have to score 100 out of 100 or 300 out of 300. Okay, what your objective should be is to score a good mark, so that it keeps on adding to your basically final score that you will get. Okay, so that is one thing is UPSC will try to cover everything that is there written here. Okay, so there will be a question on symmetry, there will be a question on Bravis lattices. Okay, this thing, for example, another thing very important for GSI is in GATE, NET, sometimes very basic questions are not asked. Okay, very basic questions may not be asked. GSI will ask you basic questions. Okay, very fundamental, some things which you learned in the very first year. Let's say you started studying BSc geology, you started studying in the first year physical geology course. So those very basic things that you learned, even those can be asked here. Okay, so it is important to go through those. So even questions like chemical classification of minerals. Okay, is this mineral sulfide mineral? Is this mineral oxide mineral? Is this mineral silicate mineral? So those kind of questions you don't expect like in GATE they will be asked, but here they will be asked. So it is very important for you. See, mineralogy, crystallography, you study structural geology, you study, it is same everywhere where you study for each exam, but you have to customize your preparation for the exam that you are targeting. That is very important. Okay. Another thing very important for prelims is actually a very good thing is that they are very specific in the syllabus that they are asking. They will not ask outside of that. So for example, the properties that they have asked for mineral groups that you have to memorize are olivine, garnet, pyroxene, amphibole, mica, feldspar and quartz. Okay, they will not ask outside of this. Okay, so these are the rock minerals that you have to cover. Similarly for igneous rocks also you'll find similar things. Okay, so magmatic differentiation assimilation, they always ask question. There is a question on this one also. Okay, but phase diagrams they also ask questions. but some things are not there in the syllabus also. Okay, now few things: petrogenesis of granites, basalt, comatites, alkaline rocks such as carbonatite, kimberlite, lamprophire, nepheline cyanide. These questions will come in exam. Okay, one question for example from these is always asked, or sometimes 2 or 3 questions are also asked. So syllabus is very specific. That is a good thing. You have to prepare for these. Okay, so sometimes students may get confused that, oh, they are asking about lamprophire, comatite and all these things, uh, and they directly look at the paper, previous year paper, and think the paper is very difficult. No, paper is not difficult. If you keep syllabus in your hand, if you study as per syllabus, if you have studied carbonatite, lamprophire, kimberlite, all these things, there are 5 6 rocks only, then the paper will not be very difficult if your preparation strategy is proper. Okay, all right, so these are the subjects. As I told, the number of subjects is limited. Okay, the syllabus is less than what you have to cover for mains. Okay, some things you can just like ignore. uh, Questions are usually very easy. If you directly open the paper, you may find like they asked about dating of water. Okay, then you may think, okay, I have not studied dating of water, but the applications of hydrogen, oxygen, isotopes in groundwater studies. They asked about artificial recharge of groundwater. Okay, I think those check dams or bunds that you create. So everything is there in the syllabus. If you study as per syllabus, you can very easily score much higher than the cutoff in these exams. Okay, now how are the questions distributed in the exam that you have to look? So first year, okay, that was in 2020 with this new pattern. Okay, so this new pattern we have had it in 2020, 2021 and 2022. Okay, in 2021 there were no seats for geology. Okay, these years there have been seats for geology. Overall, if you look at the question distribution, one thing that you'll know is that in 2021 and 2022 the number of questions, 120 questions are there. Okay, 10 subjects are there. UPSC keeps it simple. Okay, you don't have to worry about which subject is more important, which subject is less important. 12 questions each from each subject. Okay, so you can see here for these 2 years it is pretty fixed. In first year, the distribution, some topics they asked less questions, some topic from they asked more questions. Okay, and it was mostly because they had this assertion reason type questions. Okay, so these type of questions they appeared in more in like 2020 towards the end. Okay, so and those were not like evenly distributed, those questions. Okay, uh, so if you want to predict for this year, nobody knows. Okay, overall even in 2020 you can see the weightage, like no subject got less than 10 questions. Okay, so 10, maybe maximum it was 13. So it is not huge variation. So there is like no subject that is more important than other subject. You have to cover all subjects. And also don't forget easy subjects. Easy subjects are even more important because with minimal effort you can get maximum marks in those subjects. Okay, but it is very important that you cover the entire syllabus in its breadth. Okay, so we will go to the next slide little bit. Okay, I want to tell you, I don't have a slide for that. Okay, so how we are planning to basically conduct this course so that we are able to finish everything and revise within 2 months. Okay, so 2 months if you want to prepare, the first and foremost thing is, okay, you have to be very dedicated in your preparation. Okay, you have to be preparing with rigor. You have to be rigorous. Okay, and hard work is very important. Okay, that is like the most important thing. Nothing like comes before it. Intelligence, okay, smart and everything. You need to do that because in 2 months you have to prepare and take this as golden opportunity because nobody knows next year. We saw in 2021 there were 0 seats. Who knows next year how many seats will be released? Okay, so you have to give your best effort this year only. Okay, that is what you have to think. That is the mindset that you need to be in. Okay, that this effort this year will be your best effort. Even if you have not started your preparation, you think like you missed the chance, okay, time is very less. Let me tell you, time is not less. Okay, there is sufficient time. 2 months is more than sufficient for prelims exam. Okay, and you'll have another 4 months for mains preparation. So dedication, rigorous hard work is very, very important. Okay, then after that you have to be smart in your preparation. Okay, so you have to be really smart. You see, we just finished the Indian Forest Services course. Okay, subjective type course where you have to write answers. Okay, so that is sometimes even more difficult. Sometimes looking at options you can recollect, okay, where did I study this, but when you have to write everything from scratch. Now most of the students who were in that course, they had not even touched geology. They had never even studied physical geology. Okay, they studied entire geology in, let's say, 40 days. Okay, they had around 50-60 days to prepare, and they have to cover it in like 40-45 days, and they're able to cover entire geology without having any background knowledge. Even if you have not studied well for your, let's say, graduation exams, still you will remember something you would have done. You would have made practical files, maybe you copied from practical files, but even that copying exercise have given you some knowledge. Okay, so those people, they didn't have any knowledge beforehand. Okay, and still they are able to qualify such hard and difficult exam. So it is definitely doable. Okay, but you have to be smart about this preparation. Now, how do you prepare in such a short time? Okay, the most important thing is practice. Okay, learn through practice. Okay, maybe Mayank sir can tell you a little bit more about this, but Mayank sir has himself like qualified UPSC prelims exam so many times. Even like sometimes UPSC toppers who have qualified like mains interview, also sometimes they give prelims next year. They 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 sometimes fail to qualify because the exam is so competitive and unpredictable. But still, like Mayank sir has qualified it multiple times, and not just the CSE cutoff but also IFSO cutoff, which usually is much higher than CSE cutoff. Okay, so he scored like 125 plus multiple times in the exam. And I think he can tell you about like his strategy for a much difficult exam was like just practice more and more questions, learn through every time. It is not that you will open, if you have to prepare a polity, you open Lakshmikant and start reading it from again. Okay, you practice questions. When you make a mistake, you don't recollect, like let's say something about parliament, so you go and revise those things. Okay, so this way your learning becomes more effective. Okay, so
Yes,
you are
right, right.
right.
And yeah, right. Like in like I just want to add, like Sir said that for MCQ based question, more than your knowledge, it is your exam temperament and right your temperament which will matter, right? So you can develop that temperament using practicing numerical, like practicing these questions, MCQ based question, and like if you analyze the paper properly, you will see that most of your questions has been already asked by UPSC, right? So suppose there is a question, it has A, B, C, D option. So for such examination, you should also go in depth for options also. Suppose there is a question and option B is correct, right? So suppose that is just the name of the rock: basalt, granite, andesite, diorite, right? So if you know answer is basalt, even then for while practicing, you should go in detail what is andesite, what is diorite, something like that. So that is the best way to prepare, and I think that is the way we are also planning to cover, like, in this around 50 days, right? Like somebody is asking question also. So I think after like few minutes, we will open it up for you all to ask questions, and then we will be more than happy to answer, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we were like exam temperament Mayank sir was talking about, because I wanted to give one example. Actually, I was looking for that question. Okay. So I think it was in 2021. The question that UPSC had asked was about, for example, which kind of rocks, Cretaceous, okay, found in basically southern slopes of Shillong Plateau. Okay, so maybe like for these kind of question, if you just read the question, you say, oh, I have not done field work in Shillong Plateau, I don't know what the answer is. Okay, you have to look at the options. Okay, so for example, if in the options Lathi formation is given to you, okay, and you learn this basically stratigraphy very properly. They have given what you have to study in stratigraphy, which all groups you have to study. Okay, so for example, Dharwad, Singhbhum, Aravali cratons. Okay, so only three cratons, so you don't have to study Bastar. Okay, for this one, for example. Okay, so CITZ you have to study Aravali, Delhi, Eastern Ghats. Okay, Purana sedimentary basins, Kadapa, Vindhya, and Phanerozoic stratigraphy of India is Spiti, Kashmir, Kutch, Trichinopoli, Shivaliks, and Indo-Gangetic plains. Okay, so when you study basic stratigraphy, you will know like where they are asking it from. Okay, so Phanerozoic stratigraphy in general of India. So when you study these, do you know like where, for example, Lathi formation is found in Rajasthan? It is not even found in Shillong. So this is how you can answer such questions. Okay, so you eliminate this option, for example. Okay, so it's not always about answering the question. Many times it will be about eliminating the questions also. Okay, so you have to basically practice through. First, you see what kind of questions are asked. You we will give you like enough questions in the stage of preparation. Okay, we will discuss all the questions that have been asked in GSI prelims until now. Okay, and we will study all important topics related to those questions. Okay, so for example, rule of V's they ask all the time. Okay, so what is the trick to solve this rule of V question? Maybe if you forget at that time. Okay, if you are not able to imagine it, so what is the trick you can use to solve that question? So similarly, stereographic projection questions, sometimes they ask what is difference between stereographic orthographic projection. Now this is a very basic fundamental question. You learn this from the very beginning, that what is stereographic projection, but how do you know basically you differentiated from others? So these basic things we will so that is how, like, you see a question on stereographic projection, you study everything that is related to that. What is conic projection, what is gnomic projection, what is stereographic projection? So you study everything about projections, different types of projections that are there. Okay, because next year they can ask these questions. So overall, if you look at the topics, they repeat the topics. The question may not be directly repeated. Okay, but if this year they asked this thing on stereographic projection, next year they can ask something related to that. Okay, that is one thing.
Like I just want to add, like, whatever sir was saying, this you can call it as reverse engineering, right? You have a question and you are, going back, you are going to your base notes and then reading that topic. And this is the most important thing, most effective thing to prepare for any MCQ based exam, right? For this, what you need is, you should not be lazy. Abhi December or January ka mahina hai, there is a lot of, right, winter bhi hai, thand bhi hai. You should not be lazy. You should be very very proactive in studying, right? If you have got an option जो दिख रहा है कि this is a notes but you don't recall, just go back, right? Even in the course we will be giving you some material on a lot of topics, so you just read it yourself, right? You know the basic, but if you have this organized content, you read it. So ऐसे करके, even if you are solving 20-25 question, right, so in exam this will take only 20 minutes, right, solving 20-25 question. But at your home, when you are preparing for the exam, to build that temperament, you need to devote at least 1 hour or 2 hours to solve this 20 question, right? Because you will solve a question and you will do some research, some research, reverse engineering, because that is an important theme. So this is what, like, it means by reverse engineering, and this will be most fruitful.
Yes, and we will give you basically questions. Okay, we will discuss in live lectures what those GSI prelims questions that have been asked. We will give you more questions even from let's say older examinations, which you can solve on your own, and we can have discussions on them, like doubt classes for some important topics in there. So like this, we will try to basically make you guys practice as much as possible. That is the most important thing for any objective based examination, and that will also provide you basically that temperament, some skills for solving MCQs that are required. Okay, which Mayank sir was talking about. Those are very very important. Okay. Uh, Another thing is, when you analyze previous year papers, okay, we will discuss each and every paper. Okay, so in those papers there are easy questions, okay, and difficult questions. Now difficult does not mean unsolvable. Okay, you could have studied this. Sometimes these are given in a book, standard textbook. Okay, but question like this, study of process of fossilization. Okay, so if you study paleontology, okay, if you have gone through the course, we have an entire like 20 slides only on taphonomy. Okay, so what is science of fossilization? That is very introductory lecture in paleontology, the first lecture. So you should be able to solve this question. Now some of you may not have heard of this term before, but what I'm telling you is these are easy questions. Okay, so if you are able to solve all the easy questions in the exam, you will at least qualify the cutoff. Okay, that much can be done because there are many easy questions in the exam. Now there will be some few questions. Okay, so I think there was one question on structural Mohr circle in which wording was very difficult. Okay, sometimes there will be questions like that, don't be scared of those, but your first target should be that you should not get these wrongs. You should have 100% success rate in questions like this. Okay, in questions like this you will develop little bit with time that temperament. Okay, so even if let's say you are doing some guesswork somewhere, even if you are able to achieve a rate of let's say 50% correct, okay, in these that will be pretty good. Okay, uh, again for from stratigraphy, for example, this is another example of easy question. Okay, this is a direct straight question from Kadapa supergroup stratigraphy. Okay, something that which should be on your fingertips, which is the oldest group of Kadapa supergroup. They are not even asking you formation. Okay, they are asking you about groups. Okay, only 4 groups are there, so that these kind of questions you should not get wrong. Okay, so the very first thing that you have to do is for example, stratigraphy of Singhbhum, stratigraphy of Bastar Dharwad, those should be on your fingertips. Okay, now sometimes the question can be which of characteristic of extrusive intrusive phase of Malani igneous suit. Okay, if you are getting this question wrong in exam, okay, no, there is no need to panic. Okay, many other students will also get these question wrong. Okay, so but uh, sometimes you can look at the options and still you will be able to analyze some of these things. Okay, so for example, first of all, do you know what is the age of Malani igneous suit?
Sir, 720 to 750 million years.
Right, so even these, like, you may not know it exactly just by reading the question. Okay, but if you analyze the options, can you eliminate any option? You may
The
not.
first option,
Yes, first option. Why? How do you?
because of
It is basically Malani or granites, right?
Yes, sir. Rhyolitic, sir.
Rhyolitic, granitic means composition is granitic. Malani
Yeah.
rhyolite.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, which other option can you eliminate?
Yes, sir.
It is felsic in nature, right? Which can you eliminate? D, right? Okay. So, what is why how can you eliminate D?
Sir, age, they are saying oldest magmatic activity.
Right?
There are other old, yes,
Yes. So first of all, it is not Archean in age. Okay. What is the age of this? If it is 700 million years, what is the age? Proterozoic, right?
Neoproterozoic.
Neoproterozoic,
neoproterozoics.
right? So it is this also you can eliminate. Okay. Layered structures. Okay. Mostly you will find these are more common in mafic, ultramafic, where you get those layered cumulate textures. Okay. So like this, in first instance, just the wording of question may seem difficult. Okay. So actually you can solve this question. What do you think is the correct answer for this one?
B,
B,
sir.
sir.
B,
Sir,
right?
B.
B should be the correct answer, right? So sometimes the wording you have to read the options most of the time. Okay, you will have to read the options also. Just looking at this, okay, characteristic features of extrusive intrusive phase, they put these words extrusive intrusive phase. You say I studied Malani few things but didn't study about phases of Malani igneous suit, what different phases are there. Okay, so again you don't need to basically know each and everything about that topic to answer a question. You can eliminate options also. Okay, so this is a very important strategy. Okay, so this I had just like for Kadapa, like basically Papagani group you can answer. Okay, so like this in exam, this temperament, okay, this skill of getting like maximum marks with like even knowing like 50% about a question, you will get with practice. Okay, so you will get with practice. So we will give you basically how you have to practice. First of all, you have to practice. So these 12 questions from each subject, you have 3 years. Okay, so 36 questions, so you already have for each of those. Okay, and you have more than 60 days. Okay, first of all, even if you are just doing this part, okay, I think you can go through like PYQs and the background information on those questions. We can easily cover it, okay, in one day. And then self study will be very important. Okay, self study will be very important. Guidance, tips and tricks, all those things we will provide, but you have to do that self study. Okay, then we will give you more questions. Okay, so around 60 to 70 more questions will be given to you. So these we will discuss all these in live classes. Okay, some places where you have tips and tricks can be given, relevant topics related to that we have to cover. Okay, those things we will do notes, important notes of important topics. Notes will be concise. Okay, we will not provide you entire book. Okay, that will be counterproductive. You don't have to study each and everything. Okay, so those things we will try to cover. Fundamentals we will go through. Okay, basic fundamentals, for example, of stratigraphy. What type of contacts do you have? Many times, sometimes gate will not ask you like what kind of contact is this versus this kind of contact. Okay, stratigraphic contact, simple things like this. You have gradational contact, sharp contact, okay, or unconformable contact. So those very fundamental things that you study even in at BSc level, those are also important. Okay, so you have to revise those, and we will guide you in that process. Okay, looking at the cutoff of last few years. Okay, so how many seats were there for general? Total 79 seats. Okay, this year there are 3 times more seats than this. Okay, and still the cutoff was 154 out of 400. I think that is completely achievable, but you should not target just 154. Okay, for categories it was even less. Okay, so you should not just target that score, because it will count towards your final score. Okay, you should at least try to get above 200 250. Okay, that marks. Also, it is subject to a minimum of 10% marks in each of the 2 papers of stage 1. Okay, so minimum cutoff is also there. Okay, so you have to score, for example, 10% in your GS. Okay, that much is like achievable. If you cannot score 10% also, then there is no point in basically you will not clear the cutoff anyway. Cutoff is above that minimum qualifying marks. But for example, if you were to score, let's say 200 in geology, and you score 5 marks in general studies, then you will not qualify. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So general studies also you prepare, but don't give it like 100% of the time. Okay, again, in general studies also you have to be very strategic. Start studying the topics such as science, which are most likely, basically from which questions are asked mostly, and then which are high yielding and also easy to cover, because most of you would have studied science, and then you would remember science from what you studied in school. Okay, 2021 cutoff. Okay, there was no geology seats. Okay, there were only 16 seats. Even like just for 16 seats, cutoff was not very high. It was just 211. Okay, so just above 50%, but that was for 16 seats. This year we have around what, 242 seats. Okay, so it is really a golden opportunity, but don't think that you have to just clear the cutoff. You have to get good marks. Okay, at Planet Geology we have had like very good results over the past few years. Okay, so we have been now had like two batches. Okay, and we have delivered like we have been delivering results from our very first batch itself. Okay, this was for our forest services course last year. This year also we are expecting a very good result, because so many of our candidates have appeared for interview. And also this year GSI, many students, almost 15 students are appearing for interview. Over 10 to 15 students for civil services mains also are appearing interview from our who have been involved with Planet Geology. Okay, so we have extensive experience in mentoring and coaching students and basically delivering results. Okay, so that's all from my side. Okay, Mayank sir, if you want to add anything, and or we can open the floor for students to ask any questions that they may have.
Yes, sir. We can open the floor for them to ask their questions.
Yes, any questions?
Sir, good morning, Mayank sir and Lawrence sir.
Good morning, Sunny.
Good morning, Sunny.
Sir, my question is related to men's. Sir, this year I have qualified the GSI pre-exam,
Mhm.
but I'm not able to qualify the men's exam. Sir, the problem is with me, like I'm not fully prepared in paper three of a GSI paper. So while I'm preparing for that subject, means paper third, sir, I face many difficulties. So because of this reason, I'm not qualified the men's exam. So, sir, can you tell me, sir, how we prepare for the paper three for a GSI means, so that it's helped me. Like this year, I've also like submit my form for a GSI.
Anyway, we will come to that because this webinar we specifically had for prelims. Okay, but I would say first focus on prelims at this stage also. Okay, it is very good that you know like where you are lacking. Sometimes students don't even have idea where they are lacking. Okay, so 4 months is more than sufficient time to get a good hold over your paper 3. Okay, so we can provide mentorship after that. We had like that GSI crash course last year also. This year we'll have a better version of that. Okay, uh, so we can cover that part. Okay, it's not difficult, but right now you should focus on prelims. Okay, have you got your marks breakage, basically how many you got in prelims?
No, sir. Right
Right.
now,
Yeah,
UPSC
so
not like
it will only cover.
mention in
So
a
so you
section.
don't know, like maybe if you had got even more marks in prelims, you could have still qualified it. Okay,
Sir,
because it
I have
comes in.
like sir, I have approximately check from my side, from my
Okay.
side that in pre I got around 49 or 45 in GS paper, and around 143 of 147 around in geology paper. So around 200
Yeah.
plus marks in pre.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, first of all, it can definitely be improved by I would say at least 40 50 marks. Okay, if you give like
Yes.
proper preparation. Okay, 250 is like easily attainable out of 400. The other is for GSI mains. Okay, so what you can do is you basically should first like start after that, but few things like very selective topics you can pick up and then just start studying those which you find most difficult. Okay, uh, but here today we are trying to be more focused on the prelims preparation. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
Any other question? Anyone? Bhaskar,
Uh,
Atindra, Alisha,
sir,
anyone? Karandeep.
Hi
Okay.
Karan.
hi, sir. Actually, we are preparing for GATE also parallelly, right?
Yes.
And GSI also. So how we cope up with like there is numerical portion more and there is subjective like portion more.
Yes,
So
I
I
get
want
your
to ask
question.
that.
Yes, so numerical portion more, first of all, it can be easily done. Both subjects can be managed. Okay. GSI preparation will definitely help you in GATE preparation also, because in GATE not only subjective but other questions are also asked. Okay. Definitely few types of questions in GATE they don't ask, especially the ones which are very basic. But it will definitely, especially things like stratigraphy, paleontology, they will definitely help you in your preparation. Gate also, it is similar strategy, only at the end you have to basically solve question, keep solving questions, previous year gate question. Okay. uh, but if you are thinking like you will study only for one exam and not study for another exam, okay, if you have to pick one, I don't think it is a good strategy. Okay, you should keep your options open. Okay. If you are like clear you don't want to do GSI job, like you're 100% clear, then only you should ignore the GSI paper. Otherwise, if you are in a situation where you have not landed anywhere, okay, so you are still looking for a job, okay, for opportunities, there is I think slightly greater chance in GSI, because number of seats is more. Okay, GATE like ONGC, I think this year the number of seats is still more than previous years. But sometimes they are like, even students who get like very good ranks, I think last year like someone who got like even in 20s or 19 ranks, sometimes they are not able to still, like even after performing very well, they may not be able to uh, get a job, just because number of seats were, this year number of seats is higher. So that is why like you have to study GSI for GSI in any case, but I personally believe GATE can also be managed at the same time. Okay, if you just like, if nothing else, just keep practicing previous year questions strategically.
And I also want to add something like for GSI prelims and gate, the aptitude is more or less same, right? The type of question are more or less like there are some difference, right? But but like he was also asking for subjective examination. But one thing I have seen, that a lot of people, they are doing good in prelims maybe, but they are not performing well in the mains examination, right? Because you need to understand that the requirement for both the exams are different. For gate and as well as GSI prelims, they are for gate you also need to solve, that is one thing, right? Numerical problem. But for GSI prelims is effectively an exam of identification, right? You have four options, you have studied them, right? You might have studied them from PDF, from slide, that is all right, you can solve them, right? But if you want to do very good in any subjective examination, right, GSI means, what is required is intense memorization, intense revision, and that could only happen when you have your own handwritten notes, right? And you have
Yes.
very concise material. So I have seen people doing PhDs, and they are having great knowledge, and they are doing good in MCQs, but they struggle big time in mains. That is because they fail to understand the difference and the basic requirement. That is rectification in case of subjective examination. Here, even if we give you some slide and you don't make your own notes, but you revise them multiple times, you can do good in MCQ based question, right? Because it is mostly identification and elimination. You can eliminate 1, 2, 3, and 4 is the answer, right?
Yeah,
So
so
this
for
is one.
example, yeah, we discussed about that Malani Ignis suit. Many of you like were able to solve it like live in the class. But if someone asked you to write a note on Malani Ignis suit, you will sometimes blank out what to write, especially under
Yeah.
exam pressure where you have less time. So yes, that is, and note making is like very important for subjective stage exam. It's like the one of the most important things that you can do.
Sir, then in my point of view, I should prepare for GSI, well, like pre-exam. It will cover general things like for I have to for subjective question papers. For numericals, I should have some concise time to solve them, like for 2 hours, practice it and prepare for GSI exam. It will cover GATE also and GSI also, right?
Yes. It will cover like, yeah, basic parts of both. And for gate, you just like keep solving those previous year questions. If you just compile previous year question from each year and just solve all of them, okay, multiple times, and revise, select like related topics in gate also, you can do well. Okay, but you have to solve each and every previous year question in gate, each and every numerical. A lot of those are repeated in exam. Okay, so for example, numericals, like also, if you sometimes count on your fingers, you will know what they can ask. They can ask you on Miller indices, for example, in mineralogy, crystallography. Okay, that they will about grade estimation in ore geology. If I ask you in geophysics, what they ask, geophysics is slightly geophysics, geochemistry are basically slightly more extensive, but these are only two subjects that you need to cover. Okay, after that, from igneous petrology, usually it is not a numerical. From paleontology, it is not a numerical. From stratigraphy, it is not a numerical. Okay, so there are non-numerical question also form almost 50% of the gate exam. So it's not that gate asks only numerical questions. Hydrogeology, they may ask numerical questions. Okay, but like what the topics are. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any other question? Anyone?
And here in this, we will give you basically questions. Okay, in the prelims course for practice. okay, which are of GSI level, okay, which will help you in GSI preparation, not like gate kind of questions. If you are like those who are enrolled in the gate course and are appearing in test series, you know, like that test series is specifically designed for gate exam. A lot of numerical questions are asked, although like some 50% question there also are also non-numerical type, so it will definitely help you in your GSI preparation also. Okay, those who are taking that test series, it will help you basically in both exams, but specifically for GSI we will give you like practice questions in the course.
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, is geophysics is important in GSI preliminary, sir?
No, it's not in the syllabus.
Okay, sir.
So
For
that's
mains, will it be useful?
mains. I think it is asked in the economic geology or geology part where or exploration geology is there, right? So there they ask geophysics. It's not a subject
O-
specifically even in mains. Okay. So
Okay,
there
sir.
they will usually ask like write a note on electrical methods and its application. Sometimes they may ask you about Venner configurations, lumber. Usually one or two questions are there from basic geophysics, but more often than not they don't ask you to solve numericals from geophysics. But there also it's not a separate subject that you have to prepare. It's not. It is part of mineral exploration or geology only. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So here that's a good thing about pre is like you can actually you don't have to, the syllabus is pretty limited.
Uh, Morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, with regard to gate, I want to clear from something, sir. That's how to prepare for aptitudes in gate, sir.
Aptitude in gate.
Yes, sir.
See, the thing is like I don't think it is possible right now, like with like just 1 or 2 months remaining, that you start studying English from scratch. You start building your vocabulary. Okay, so if you are wanting to build your vocabulary for 1 or 2 questions, okay, it will take like you 2-3 months of just intense preparation on that only. Okay, like you prepare for GRE and all those things. Okay, so it is not worthwhile that way. Okay, again, easiest way to solve for aptitude is, and the good thing about aptitude is you find their solutions very easily because it is common for geology, mechanical, electrical, okay, based on like when the paper was held. So for geology exam or you will find their solutions also online. Just solve like last 5-6 years of aptitude questions. That's the best thing you can do. Other than that, I don't think there is like it is worth spending too much time on, especially English part, because English you don't know like what you need to prepare. Math, yes, you can do it. Some things that you have to do like at the very start is basically start preparing or start study basic math things. You should know what is area of circle, sphere, uh, basically if you have cone, cube, cuboid, so those volume, mensuration, these things you should know. Some basic trigonometry you should know. Okay, so that part you have to cover. Okay, so how to do speed, distance, time, for example, you should know. Other than that, sometimes they ask you about Ram's mother is this, Sham's mother is those kind of questions. Okay, logical reasoning where you may have to apply those. Just study from previous year, look at their solutions they are given. Okay, and solve like last, let's say, 5 years. If you have done 5 years, then solve last 10 years, and then after that like it's done. Okay, no, don't worry too much about it.
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah. And also like solve like last 1 or 2 years papers, also see how many marks you are getting. Okay, uh, under no circumstances you should be getting less than 10 in aptitude, so minimum like 10 you should get in aptitude to, otherwise you will fall behind your gate rank.
So, actually, my problem is only with mathematical questions, sir, like
Yeah.
exponential curves, like that, sir.
Okay.
Vocabulary in English is fine for me, sir.
Have you gone
Actually,
through our course like basic mathematical concepts at Planet Geology?
yes, sir, in
4 or 5
process.
lectures. are there only in that one. Okay, just go through those, study those. Other than that, yeah, so the topics that you say you have problem with, just like watch some YouTube videos on that, just like look at like practice problems in mensuration, practice problems in graph functions. So study graph, what is sine graph, cos graph, tan. Okay, what is equation of circle, basic equation of parabola you learn. Okay, at least learn a little bit. What you have to study can be counted on your fingertips. Okay, it's not too extensive.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, sir, can you tell more tips about the general section?
The general studies,
Yes, sir.
maybe Mayank sir can.
For general studies, we have actually an analysis video on YouTube, so you should watch it once. Right, we did it last year, so it has analysis on like what are the topics which are important. So for general studies, like sir mentioned earlier, science is the most important section. That is physics, chemistry, and biology. Right, you will have around 40 questions out of 120 from these sections, and then there will be 10 questions from history, 10 questions, 12 questions from polity. There will be 5 6 questions from economics, geography, current affairs. There will be around 10 15 questions, right? So you can do that. So you should focus more on science. You should I suggest you to see that video which sir and me and another a few other mentors took up on YouTube, right? They are freely available there, so that will help you to prepare, right? And we also have a course, very concise course for general studies, so you can also explore it. Otherwise you can also do it with self study. All right, so just devote more time to science and some basics of all other GK thing, right?
Yeah, and there was a question in chat also, Lucent, if you can follow, if you want to follow Lucent, like any science book you can follow. Okay, but my experience, from my experience, I know like analyze previous year questions. Okay, so NCRTs are usually more helpful if you study like at least 9th and 10th class NCRTs of all, like those there'll be like 4 NCRTs. Actually there are just like 2 NCRTs, physics, they are all combined. So if you study those, that is should be good enough.
Actually, and I think Lucent might not be helpful because Lucent has just factual stuff, and in your GSI General Studies paper, they are mostly asking like such that from 9 10 some thoda about 11 say applied part of science, right? So Lucent, I am not sure that will be very helpful for science section at least,
No, it's not
right?
that helpful. Yeah.
Uh, Maybe history you can read if you want, right?
Yeah.
Not more than.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir. But the thing is that we only have the 2 months time. So, how to tackle that NCRT books because it's a vast thing.
See,
No,
So, how
actually,
to cover this?
you never had just 2 months time. You had actually full here, right? So you are studying. If you are preparing, starting just now, then you need to have some, dedicated time. Like, if this is a competitive examination. You got to do what you got to do, right? What is needed. Otherwise, you will fall behind. So, like, people have been studying from past few months. So, if you have not done anything till now and you are starting, then obviously you are a little bit behind, but you can do it. And like NCRT, you have read them in 9 10th. It won't take more than 2 days, right? If you read it with
yeah.
conceptual clarity. So
Yeah,
that is not
don't
too much.
maybe go for like 11th and 12th NCRTs. Okay, so
Mhm.
at least study 9th and 10th.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and as Mayank sir said, what needs to be done needs to be done. Okay, you cannot say like exam will not change itself based that you had less time to prepare. Okay, it's not like that.
Mhm. Okay, like Amar is saying, history is getting tougher, right? So yeah, that is true. So like it is tougher. So if it is very tough, then it is better to leave the question, right? Like I have given civil services prelims 5 times, and out of I have cleared the cutoff by huge margin always. And there was a year when I got 132 marks out of 200, and the cutoff was just 90. That year also history was very difficult, and I there was 9 question, and I left all the 9 question, right? So if something is very difficult, so you need to skip them, right? That is just that. And if you want to prepare before the exam, the best thing is you have this 3 years data set of questions. You just Google those questions. You try to find out what are the source. You try to find the chronology of history related events, and that would do, right? So just focus on just do the basic. I think you have done classes also, Amar, last year. So you stick to those notes, whatever we have done in classes. That is very expensive in history, and after that just prepare this 30 question which you have previous year question, and stick to them. Apart from that, I won't suggest doing anything else, right? So okay, if you have any other questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we will end this session. We will upload this
Uh,
YouTube also. And somebody was also asking about the course detail. So I think by tomorrow morning, there will be a link on the website for the course also, and we will share it on the group also, right? We will also be having a private group where mentorship and some other updates about the classes will be there. But you will be having a link and other detail by tomorrow, I think, right, Lawrence?
Yes, yes, yes. And then we will have one demo class also in the start. So we will share those details also for the demo class.
Sure. Chukka, like current affair, I think like the trend is like they are asking very recent current affair in GSI, maybe last 5 6 months before the examination. But general the thumb rule is for current affair you should go for one full year, right? That is for other competitive examination. But in our case, the UPSC is fortunately sticking to just 3 4 months, 4 months, 5 months of current affair.
Sir, questions like in GS and national highways, rivers, and all, we have to cramming so much things. So can we should go for it like for cram or ignore it just no?
I think these are like, see, you already know that this question is being asked reverse. Like national highway, I think it is not that logical to cram up. But even in national highway, nowadays it is not random, right? There is a rule. Ki north se south mein they will have only even number, east to west they will have odd number, something like that, right? So like national highway 44, it is from north to south, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. So it is national highway 44, biggest national highway. So there is some logic also there behind that. And river you should do it, right? It is a full toss kind of a thing, because there are 6 7 important rivers. You can mug up the tributaries. You can also use elimination method. So for that, concise notes should be there. You can get them on the internet. A lot of IS rankers share them. We have also shared those on our group. So they are very easy thing. You should not be worried about cramming them, right? You already must be knowing a lot of river, a lot of tributaries, like because you're born in India, so you know a lot of tributaries of Ganga naturally itself, right? So just little bit of hard work and you will get like full on 2 marks for that.
Okay, sir.
So sir, if there is no other question, we can end the session here.
Yes.